Hey, welcome in everybody. We are live. Our first session of Deal Soldier Reselling Masterclass. I just want to thank everybody for coming in today. Um, some housekeeping items. I do want to thank Sean and Kathleen allowing us to put this together, meeting live, giving us the opportunity to host all different types of calls. This will actually be our first reselling masterclass. It will be available on YouTube to reference later on if you have any questions or if you want to follow back and get a refresher on anything, or if you happen to join late and miss some information. Um, this is a live session, so I would love to get a back and forth. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer as many questions as I can on the live. I'll keep an eye on the chat, try to get some. We also have a ton of staff in here with us. We have Kathleen, we have Mel, our 1130 Collective. If you haven't met her, she's extremely knowledgeable. She's been doing this way longer than I have. Um, I'm still learning. It's always going to be a learning. Reselling, it's kind of you got to adapt with the flow. It's a changing market. The places where you sell are eBay, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. It's always evolving. The rules are always evolving. What people are interested in is always evolving. So keeping up the speed and having that experience and going through all different types of waves during the reselling market. It's great to have a knowledgeable staff like we do. We got 1130 Collective. Like I said, she's extremely knowledgeable, as well as a ton of other staff that's been reselling longer than I have. Um, Real quick, just want to do another quick. If you notice the Deal Soldier training, that's where you found this mastering class today. We're going to be posting any lives that we're doing in the future in this channel for you. Um, you'll get a ping notification. You'll be notified when we're live and what the class is. We're going to try running two different types of classes right now. We're going to be running the uh, basic boot camp as well as the reselling masterclass. That way, if you're new here and you want to get experience with some of the tools that we're having, how to get started and sourcing your first items for inventory, you can pop into one of those classes, get a breakthrough of everything in the group, as well as the real reselling mindset. So you acquired some inventory. You might have never sold anything before and you want to get a little experience or some tips and tricks on how to list on eBay or how to list on Facebook Marketplace. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place today. I see we got a ton of people joining. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. I did put a poll at the top as well. I'm curious to kind of gauge where you are at reselling, if you've been selling before, if you sold on Facebook Marketplace but never on eBay, or if you've never sold before. I'd love to get a gauge of the viewers that are here today. That way I can kind of cater and shape this to your needs. It's not a scripted show, so I do have an outline, a plan that I'm going to go through. But if you have any questions, as I mentioned, it is live. Pop those questions in the chat and we'll answer as many as we can. Let's get started. Real quick. Here's the topics that we're going to cover today. We're going to cover the reseller mindset, kind of what mentality that you should be in, where to source the items, how you're going to find out you should price those items. Should you price them at the MSRP? Should you price them lower? To know if you're actually buying a good item and if it's something that you could resell. We're going to go over eBay. I'm going to go over some tips, tricks. I know there's some beginners here on eBay, and there's a lot of tips and tricks to get notified more than other sellers on here and give you a little bit of an advantage. We'll quickly go over shipping, what size boxes, best way to ship them. I can tell you some funny stories about myself and shipping, as well as my wife can as well. Return strategies. A lot of times people get asked, should I accept returns? And there's a fine line between that. We'll kind of go over that a little bit. Any pre-sale rules? So you got one of those Taylor Swift items that you purchased, you want to list on eBay, but it hasn't been shipped to your house, what the rules are for that, or any other high demand item. And then we'll go over Facebook Marketplace tips and tricks, best way to get recognized selling on Facebook Marketplace, and any cross-platform tips. And obviously, you always want to scale up. So what's great about eBay is it has that national reach. You can ship anywhere. eBay even has international shipping where you ship it to the eBay office and they handle all the international shipping for you. One thing to note is you're going to factor in about 13% fees. We'll go over the fees a little bit later. And then Facebook Marketplace. I mostly use it for local buyers. I find it it's the best way to reach those local buyers. You get quick cash, no fees. You can list it for sale, but I find if I'm going to list it for sale on Facebook Marketplace and ship it, I'll do better on eBay. Yes, Destiny, this is going to be recorded and live later, so you can go ahead and review this later on if you want to get a refresher, any knowledge. Real quick, I'm sure everybody knows what reselling is, but just in case, you're going to buy items at a lower discount. I can tell you when I first started, I didn't even know there was hidden clearance. The first time I found out about it was on Sean's Live, and that's where I found out people were paying 80, 90% off on items inside of Walmart. And then that quickly expanded my knowledge to Home Depot, Lowe's, Target. And then I started getting into the online high demand items where there's a certain amount of inventory, high demand, you buy it for MSRP and you flip it for a great resale value. Um, Quick name for it is called retail arbitrage. So if you hear that or if you've heard that buzzword before, that's really what reselling is. So the profit formula, hold on one second here, just fix my screen. And everybody can hear me all right, everything's sounding great. Okay, love. Awesome, thank you, thank you. All right, so the profit formula, and this is really mostly for eBay, this formula, or I guess it really goes across everything. So the profit is equal going to be the sale price minus any cost that you paid, so taxes, any shipping fees, any supplies. So if you end up getting a box or any packing material like bubble wrap. Um, so really, you take your sale price, you minus any fees, and that's going to be your profit. Just a quick note, eBay, they're going to keep that 13.25%. That's pretty much across the board. Sometimes you get a little savings depending on the level of your eBay account, but I like to factor in that 13% for any of the fees that eBay is going to take from me and my mindset if it's worth listing on there or if it's just not going to be worth it for me. And then obviously with Facebook Local, when people are meeting you or you're meeting them at like police stations or public areas or if they're meeting at your house or you're dropping it off, there's going to be no fees in that. I love selling Facebook Marketplace, especially those large items. My wife actually just secured, I think it was 8 vanities, and we've already sold 3 of them within a couple days. But the one thing you should always do is calculate your profit before you buy. That way you know if it's worth it or not before you hit that register. Great thing though is a lot of us are sourcing our items through Walmart, Lowe's, Target, Home Depot with great return policies. So if you end up buying something you think it's going to be great, check in the store's return policy. But if it doesn't sell in that time, you can just bring it right back to the store for a full refund. There's no real risk in this type of reselling market. What I aim for is about 30 to 50% depending on the item. I find if I'm buying something for 100, I love to get 150 to 200. That 30% really falls more for the larger items where I aim for 50% or more for the smaller items. But I want to make sure it's worth my time because time is definitely money. And a couple keys to success is knowledge is money. Obviously, the more you know, the more tools at your fingertips, the better you're going to do. Speed matters. So if you find something at Walmart and you're able to go there that minute or you're able to go there that day, make sure you secure that item. You don't want somebody else to grab that while you're still trying to fumble around and decide if it's worth buying. And then as well as if it's a high demand item or it's one of those pre-sale items, you want to get that listed as quick as possible. There's a couple pre-sale guidelines we'll go over very shortly. Just make sure you track everything. I started creating a spreadsheet, and a lot of people are creating spreadsheets, what they bought it for, what they sold it for, and where they sold it. And then you'll start be able to pick up on that trend where you'll know this time of year, it seems like toys are doing really well. This time of year, tools, you're able to secure tools. Tools are doing really well. It's definitely great to track everything. You'll also know if it's profitable for you and worth your time. And then communication, you want to make sure you're communicating with the customer as much as possible. So if you have an eBay, it's taking a little bit longer to ship, open up that support, message the customer. It goes a long way. They want to know that you're a real person behind the screen. You're not this big corporate company. All right, where to source? Great question. If you're in Deal Soldier, you got a lot of places to source from. You can source from Walmart, Lowe's, Target, Home Depot. Obviously, I said the big box stores. You have Amazon, as well as your thrift stores. A lot of people are sourcing items inside the thrift stores or TJ Maxx, and we have guides for all that inside of Deal Soldier. Garage sales, I can tell you last year, my wife and I walked up to a garage sale, bought a baseball bat or a softball bat, I'm sorry, for $2 and ended up flipping it for 150 bucks 6 months later on eBay. It was awesome. I didn't even know how to ship a baseball bat until that time. Retail clearance we kind of talked about. Liquidation pallets. I can tell you, I personally stopped doing any liquidation in pallets. I've had some bad experience with it, but it's still a great way to make money. Online arbitrage and Facebook Marketplace. So what you're really looking for is those big name brand items. They flip very well, especially if you can use these buzzwords on eBay, or you can use these buzzwords on Facebook Marketplace. You got Nike, Apple, Lego, Sony, Bose. You got a ton of brands out there. If you're into clothing, you got North Face, Nike shoes. There's just you want to stick with those name brands. But sometimes if the price is right, as long as you can sell it for a good price, anything will sell. And then seasonal items, if you buy off season, you can sell it in season. I can tell you, I passed up on some hoses last year and I've been regretting it. So this time last year, our Home Depot was selling sprinklers and hoses for less than $1 per item. I ended up buying just a case. They had like 20 cases available. Uh, it's funny, I listed them on eBay, and I want to say January, maybe February, they started flying off the shelves in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico on eBay was one of my biggest sellers for those hoses and sprinklers in February, and then as it got warmer, I started selling them down south. So even those off-season items could sell off-season. And then if you can complete any sets, so if you're going out for like the whole Pokemon set, or you're going out for a great example is the car sets or the Hot Wheel sets. They're great places. If you can get a whole set of Hot Wheels, it's going to sell more than selling one individual piece. So if you're able to appease a collector by getting, say, a collection of a Hot Wheel or a hot item in those Hot Wheel sets, and you got that whole set, it'll sell for 2, 3 times more than selling for a single item. And then niche items, they may take a little bit longer to sell, but there's great premiums on them. So if you end up getting one of the niche items, or you get some rare item that it's really for a niche market, I've seen a lot of times in our. Let's see if I can pull one up for you and give you a quick example. And if you haven't used this channel for eBay sales, this is an awesome channel right here. Online flips, you buy it for retail and you resell it on eBay. We give you examples of those sales. You buy it for a premium, or you sell it for a premium. We'll give you examples and the estimated cost. But there's one in particular that's kind of like a niche market. We'll just go over these signs real quick. So this is a niche market. Sometimes it'll take a little bit longer to sell, but you buy this for $100 and you're able to flip it 250 to 450 depending on who's purchasing that item. Let's go back to our slides. And then any red flags, this is what you kind of want to avoid, is any oversaturated items. Or if you go into eBay, I'll show you a little bit shortly how to check if it's a high demand item or if it's moving on eBay. You really want to stay away from anything that doesn't have any sales history. I passed on a lot of items because of that. Any heavy items, if you're not going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace, sometimes the shipping is not worth it to sell on eBay, or any restricted brands or counterfeits. I stay away from all counterfeits. I recommend everybody else stays away from all counterfeits. It can actually get your eBay account banned if you end up selling Nike sneakers that were counterfeit, or any of the name brand items that happen to be from like China or Temu that are a one-to-one knockoff, but you get caught. Really quick, looking at the poll. Let's go over these results. See, I ended the poll. It should show up. So 38% of you have sold on Facebook Marketplace. 38% of you, that's an awesome mix, have sold on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. 16% of you have only sold on eBay, and 8% of you answered no, and you're interested in reselling. So welcome in, everybody. I see 37 of you filled out that poll. The comp price, or the comp process, this is where you're going to find your eBay comps or your Facebook Marketplace comps, where you're going to price those items. You're going to want to search the exact item. So if we go to eBay, hopefully you should be able to see my eBay screen here. And let's just pick a random item. We talked about these light bulbs yesterday, I believe. So let's grab one of these light bulbs. So right here, Philips Hue White Color Ambient Smart LED. Well, what should I price this at? Is this a good item to sell on eBay? And what is kind of my profit? So the best way to figure that out is to copy the header, put that name right in the top. When I search it, you're going to get a whole list of items, but these are unsold items. You're going to notice there's going to be a mixture of other types of it, very similar, but they're the multicolor. What I like to do is I like to go on the left-hand side, expand this, and click Sold Items Only. Now this is going to give you all items that were sold. So this is going to be real comps, real people that were able to take this item and sell it. Looking right here, I see $20 a couple days ago with $10 shipping. So somebody paid $29 for this bulb right here. Looking at others, a 2-pack is $42 plus $10 shipping. So you can kind of cut that in half if you only have one. But what I'm seeing right here is that there is an interest for it, depending on what you bought it for. And I think I've seen these light bulbs down to $5, maybe $6 in some of the Home Depots. It would be a great item to flip. You can make double your money back, and you don't even have to leave your house. You just package it in a box, take it to the post office, take it to UPS, FedEx. You can actually drop them off as long as the box is not too big at any CVS or Walgreens. We do that a lot because it's right down the street from me instead of going down to the closest UPS store. A couple other ways you can actually find out if this is a decent item is eBay actually gives you tools. So if you go into sell, let me sign in, and you go into research, product research, I can actually take this keyword that we searched, pop it in here, and now this tool right here will show you the average sold price, the sold range, average shipping. It'll give you examples of sales right below it. So 1666 plus 709 shipping. 3 have sold December 8th. This is a great item to flip. As well as, and this is where I said I'm always learning. 1130 Collective actually showed me this tool right here. It's called 130point.com. And I have a handout for anybody that wants to reference this later on. But what this allows you to do is put a keyword in. So we'll put that same exact keyword in here. I'm looking for sold items, not items for sale. And then most recent sales. I'm going to click submit. And this is going to show me any recent sales of that item. Yeah, that's my wife right there, Marianne, and she's still learning. She's doing awesome. So when I first started doing any of this, she's never touched it before, and now she's handling all of our Facebook Marketplace sales. And she kind of she put me back on track because I was like, oh, that's only a $15 profit. Why do I really care about that $15 profit? And she was like, well, I scheduled 3 people at the same time, and now you just made $60 in that 30 minutes. She has a great mindset, way better than I did. She put me on track. But looking back at this tool right here, we search this light bulb. I'm able to see recent comps. They tell you the date that they sold, November. It looks like it may be a little bit of a slow mover, but if you're buying something for $5, you list it there and it sells in a couple of months. That's not really a lot of capital to invest in. But yeah, like I was saying, the best way is to really filter out that sold, completed. We can actually take this tool and see how many other people are listing it as well. So how I selected sold items, I can go to items for sale. Endings, we'll do ending soon, so it shows you the ones that are ending, and then submit. So this site right here is 130point.com. I can actually pop in chat for you. I can put it in the Deal Soldier channel as well. See, it's not showing there, but I can actually show you in eBay too. So we just put the same thing up at eBay. I put one. Let's grab the name. It's because I copied it earlier. Now we can see listings of other people selling it. This is the one that we originally grabbed it from, BW2671. It looks like they're one of the only ones out of a handful that are listing it. So it may move. There just may not be enough people that have it listed. So we're seeing sales. We're not seeing a ton of people listing it on eBay. I would definitely list this item if you had it. Yeah, I don't typically use any cash out sites. There's a lot of scam that can be involved in that. I don't recommend anybody else use it. I personally haven't had a ton of experience with it, but I've heard a lot of horror stories that go along with it. And then you can always calculate your profits. So you paid $5 for it. You sell it for 20, you're going to minus that 13%, and my headset died on me or shut off on me. It wasn't getting any input. But yeah, so you bought it for $5, you sell it for 20, factor in that 13%, so you're looking at maybe $1.30. I'm sorry, $2.60 that eBay is going to take in fees, and then you factor in the $5 to $6 shipping, where either you carry that over to the seller or you built that into your cost. We'll go a little bit more into the tips and tricks of eBay of if you should offer free shipping or if you should have the buyer sell or buyer pay for shipping. We'll go a little bit into that shortly. Um, hey, Desi. And then Facebook research. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take an item. So for an example, we're selling this right here. We're selling a vanity that's 24.5 inches. What I recommend you do is go to Facebook. You're going to go to the marketplace. You're going to search the item. So I'm looking for a 24-inch vanity. Now this will give you comps. Now I'm not going to search the exact item because sometimes there's not going to be a ton of that item listed. But if there's comparable items to it listed on Facebook Marketplace, I will be competing with those users. Any pre-made templates in Excel for this? Which templates are you looking for? So I'm looking for a 24-inch vanity. Right at the top, I don't see a ton of users listing it. Maybe if let's try a different keyword. Might be just a bad choice. 24 bathroom vanity. Let's see how that works. All right, we see a lot more here. So I'm looking at the 24-inch vanities. I see the 250 for sale in Leicester. I see 179. Looking across 250. It looks like 250 is a pretty safe mark. Going through. So yeah, it looks like that 250 to 179 is going to be a great place to at least start talking about your listing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the information off of where I bought it from. So if it's brand new, we'll go a little bit more into the tips and tricks of Facebook Marketplace, but it's kind of typical of how you grab the price of an item. For like a vanity, you're not going to match mirror to mirror the item, but if it was something else like a specific Pokemon bundle or a specific Pokemon EBT, you'll be able to get a grasp of the exact sales of what they're selling for. We'll dive more into Facebook and eBay shortly. So reading the market, 10 plus sales in the last 30 days, super strong demand, definitely a good thing to list and sell. 5 to 10 sales in the 30 days, there's good demand, it'll move, it just may take a few weeks or a few days before you start getting that interest moving. And then under 5 sales, it's a slow mover. Just make sure you account for that capital. I know there's been a lot of slow movers that my wife and I bought, but we make a lot of money on them, so we'll store them in the garage if we have the extra capital. All right, let's go into eBay. So eBay, the big thing to know is your title optimization. And what that really means is that first title. So if you go into eBay, this title right here is what we're talking about. That is super important. You get up to 80 characters to put in the title, and you want to use as much of that as you can. You want to include names like the brand, and this is going to be great search or SEO if you heard of it for websites. It'll be great search terms that people are going to be able to search and pull up that item. And the better your title is, the better chance that they are to pull up that item. So you're going to want to include things like brand, model, size, color, condition. If it's brand new, you're going to want to put that in the title. 15 to 18 words seems to work extremely well depending on the space that you have or the name of it. For an example, new, sealed, authentic, vintage, rare, ships fast. These are all hot keywords to use. Item specifics, extremely critical. What that is, let's go into one. That's going to be this right here, item specifics. The more you have on here, the better, because this is going to be included in the searches. So if somebody searches on one of these terms, a better chance that your item is going to list than somebody that doesn't have a ton of item specifics. So you notice this one fairly small, but let's go to another listing and kind of see how they have it built. Let's pick the same item. So it's apples for apples. You see how this user has a little bit more, they're going to have a better chance to show up in that search because they're filling out item specifics. You want to put as much of this as you can when you're listing the item. So if I went into post a new item, I'll show you where this is. This right here. I want to fill out everything I can in here. I want to fill out the bulb wattage if I can, any features, if it's Bluetooth or if it's Alexa Smart. Color, temperature, you want to include white, soft white. You want as much of this information that you can fill out because this is going to be all terms separate from the title that they'll be able to search on and have your listings pull up. This is the one thing that I noticed a lot of people skip out on just because it's easier not to fill it out. But this is going to be greatly improve the chance that somebody actually finds your listing before they find somebody else's. Uh, Really quick, just what I'm going over, it's eBay's algorithm. They really are looking for that stuff to match the buyers with you. So we don't have to go too in depth in that, but just make sure you fill out as many item details and you keep your title name as detailed as possible and as many keywords or hot items in there you can. What's required or the best things to put in there is that brand, condition, color, size, and the more specifics, the better visibility, as well as we're going to go over it a little bit later, but if you're setting it for ads and you put that 2% ads, and I'm going to recommend later on, there's a chance that that item can actually show up in your Google searches or it gives that more visibility. And then quick tip, you saw me hit it a few seconds ago. This right here. Let's go back. Sell now. So say I have the same exact item and I want, obviously you want to do as little work as possible and have the biggest reach. I want to click sell now, and this is going to pre-fill the same information that that user had, and it gives me a template to start with. So now that I click sell now, I can drop my photos in, I can update the title, it gives me their title, and I can update this title to really fit that title specifics that we talked about, as well as filling out any of these other features that they forgot, and it allows me to put in my own description, add it new. We'll go over doing a listing shortly. So eBay photos, more photos the better. You 6 to 12 photos. Most of my listings probably have about 6 photos, 6 to 8 photos. You want to show it from all angles, especially if it's a used item. If it's a used item, use your own photos. I think it's a requirement of eBay now that you have to use your own photos for any used items. Make sure it's a clean background. You want good lighting. Any labels that are on the box you want to include, other than like the price labels and stuff, but any specialty labels, or if you're selling an item that, say for an example, you're selling a specialty hat and it has a label that our people are looking for, you want to include that in the photos. But make sure the biggest thing is to make sure they're clean, neat, clean background. The lighting is good and it doesn't look like it's in a sloppy environment. I know one thing that deters people, and it's deterred me before from buying, is when I look at somebody's photos and it looks like it's in a grungy area. It's not something I want to buy because I know they didn't take care of it, or it may have that smell of their environment. It's just that pre-concept that people have when they look at their photos. So pre-sale rules. This is if you buy an item that hasn't been released yet, and you're waiting for it to get shipped to you. This is extremely important for those high-demand online flips because you do not want to get suspended. I can give you some examples of this. So if we go into, I say I can give you some examples. I don't think of one on the top of my head. I know there'll be a couple in here. For an example, this pen right here. I believe this was sold yesterday. Disney Windows pen. It was released on Disney.com for $24.99. I believe comps have gone all the way up to $200, $250. Maybe that's gone down a little bit since. I haven't looked at it. We can probably look. But this was released yesterday for purchase. So you ended up buying this yesterday. Disney ships the item within 1 to 2 weeks, but you want to get this listed because you want to get that FOMO. You want to get those people that are scared of missing out, those Disney collectors that have more money than anybody else in the world that want that pen and they don't care what the price is. You want to bank on that FOMO. So this is going to really help you on your listing. So you won the Disney pen. It's being shipped to your house, but you want to list this on eBay even before you have it. That way you can play off of that FOMO before people are scared that they're going to miss out. So the first thing that you must include, and this is mandatory now for any pre-sale items on eBay, is pre-sale in the title. So as long as you put pre-sale in the title, and I've seen some people that also put pre-sale and confirmed if they actually have or show an image of them winning the item, or if it's an exclusive item that's hard to get. You want to include the exact ship date, or sometimes I like to put ships or receive ships by, say, 12/20. You want to put that in the description, and then you want to set any extended handling time inside of your eBay settings. eBay allows up to, I believe it's 30 days. As long as you ship that item within 30 days, you can actually pre-list that on eBay. If you're not going to get that item in that 30-day window, it's best to wait. You don't want to really risk your eBay account. it's best to wait until that is marked for shipping, or you know a date that you're going to receive that item within that 30 days. And the one thing right here, 30 days max, ships if you can ship it within 6 weeks. And then where you set your handling time, let's go into 1. And just click sell now. You're going to see my policies are extremely sloppy. They mean a lot to me. They probably mean nothing other than that, but shipping policy. So 1 day prior, most of my items I ship within 1 day. There's a reason for that. I'll go into that shortly, but real quick, what you want to do is click edit policy. And if you don't have one set already, you can set a new policy. Let's go ahead and create a new policy instead of editing that one. Create a shipping policy. I'm going to put this handling 30 days, shipping. It's just going to be standard shipping. I'm going to use USPS, UPS, FedEx, one of the main services. I typically do free shipping on all my listings, but we'll go over that shortly. Local pickup, I don't do any local pickup, but right here, handling time, you want to set this to 30 days. If it's going to take 30 days to get to you, or if it's going to take 20 days to get to you, you want to lower it. You want to keep it as accurate as possible. That way they get a real idea of when that item is going to be received to them. But for eBay not to flag your account, you want to make sure you set those pre-sale items in the proper ship date. You want to pick a time that you know you can ship that by. So if Disney is going to take 7 days to get to me, I can mark this for 7 days, or if I want to be safe, just in case there's any delays, mark it for 10 days. And then if I want to exclude any locations like Alaska, Hawaii, because I don't want to pay the extra shipping, or other countries, I can do that as well. So a lot of great words, especially if you're doing those high demand, hot items like that Disney pin we were talking about. These are great keywords to put in the title. In hand. People love to buy things that are in hand that'll ship right away. Ships today is a great one. Ready to ship same day. If you have that item in your physical presence and it's a hot demand item that other people are looking for, putting these in your keyword are going to win your listing over the people that have 10, 20 day handling times. Definitely great keywords to have if you have that item in your hand. Say if it's a sneaker release, you went to store, you bought the sneakers, and other people are waiting for them to get shipped to them. You put these in, there's a good chance that you're going to win the auction or sale before somebody else does. Shipping strategy. Always weigh and measure before you're listing. Extremely important, especially if you're using eBay shipping, or especially if you're passing the shipping onto the buyer. As long as you put the proper dimensions and the proper weight inside of that eBay listing, eBay is going to, when you buy your label, eBay is going to mark the label cost based on that, and it'll also show, if you're passing that to the customer, it'll show the proper shipping cost to the customer, and the customer doesn't just pay $1 for shipping because you marked nothing in there, and then you're stuck paying the other $10. Use eBay labels if you can, 30 to 50% off. I know sometimes I don't just use eBay labels. I do go out, I do ShipStation, I do any of the other ones. I shop around, I pick the cheapest labels that I can, but if you're just starting out, eBay labels are awesome. They back the labels. Any issues with shipping, they'll take care of it for you. You don't have to go through your shipper. You don't have to go through USPS or UPS and try to get insurance on that. They handle it for you. And then if you do use one of the other services, you do go outside, use ShipStation, use one of the other many services out there. Make sure you upload your tracking the same day or right away. I can tell you, as soon as I make my label, the tracking goes into eBay so I don't forget about it. And then I schedule my pickup or get ready to drop off next day. And then a lot of great things. If it's under 3 pounds, I've been finding USPS Ground Advantage has been the cheapest. If it's 3 to 5 pounds, sometimes it's Priority and Ground Advantage are about the same price. Maybe UPS Ground is cheaper. I've seen in off occasions that FedEx could be cheaper as well. And then anything larger, I've noticed a lot of times the heavier items are actually cheaper to ship through FedEx and sometimes UPS. This is just kind of like a key takeaway. Always price it out. Find out what is going to be the best in your area, and then that's a great thing to mark on your listing when you're going to sell it. Return strategy. So if you're a top-rated seller and you want to take advantage of top-rating selling, you do not have to offer returns. If you're top-rated plus and you want to get the 10% discount and fees, and you can do this per item, so you don't have to do this for everything. You have to set it to 1 day handling and free 30-day returns. As long as you do that, you're a top-rated plus seller. You get that 10% fee discount. Great question, Christy. So I actually just do one trip, and anything that I do for USPS, I actually schedule the night before on USPS website. They'll pick it up for free right from your house. I just take all the packages. Say if I had 15, 20 packages, I take them all, I put them in front of the garage. I do treat my delivery people well. Sometimes I'll put a cooler out there if it's hot with energy drinks, snacks and stuff. Or if I know I'm getting large packages and I know they're bringing something to my house that's 50 pounds, I'll leave a cooler out there for them as well. But a lot of times I'll actually just schedule my trip, put it outside by the mailbox, and they come and pick it up. I don't have to do any legwork. So really, the mindset to get that return decision. Um, a lot of times, if you offer free returns, uh, I don't know how much I fully agree with collectibles, vintage. I'd hate it's hard. I like to do a lot of research on the item if it's going to be an item that's going to be returned or if it's a pretty natural item that I'm able to return to the store if there's any issues with it. What you really want to do, especially if it's a high price item, if it's over, say, 100, 200, or I sold a graphics card for, I think, 2,500 or almost 3,000 earlier this year. What I do is I take a full video of me packaging it. I take a full video of me sealing the box with the label on it, and I take a video of me going to the post office and dropping it off so they can see the condition of the box when it was dropped off. So if I do have to fight any of the eBay battles, I have full documentation of my process on those large items. Um, and I think this was really built on the amount of times that eBay sees the return. So a lot of times we don't see collectibles being returned, we don't see vintage being returned, we don't see any of those side items, the books, media, home goods. We don't see a lot of returns in that because that's a lot of niche items that somebody was actually specifically looking for. A lot of times that you're gonna see the returns as clothing if the clothing size is not, or if they say you bought a suit for on clearance and somebody wants that suit just for a wedding. I know a friend that does this. He'll go to Amazon, buy a suit for a wedding, and then return it the next day. Um, Terrible. I don't recommend that, but that's something that you would deal with if you're offering free returns on clothing or shoes where they just need it for a day. They buy those dress shoes, wear them, and say, oh, they weren't fitting. Or a lot of times electronics. They'll swap out their electronics if theirs is busted and try to tell you it's broken. Designer items, or really those items under 20, you don't want to pay the shipping for something that's going to cost you more to return it than it's going to be to. Um, it's just a hassle to pay for shipping on something that you're not going to make any money on now. Hey Tyler, welcome in. Facebook Marketplace, great place. Like we said, local sales, no fees, quick cash. Now, I'm sure if you're not new to the game, or even if you are new to the game, you probably bought something or searched Facebook Marketplace for items in your neighborhood. There's a billion monthly users on Facebook Marketplace that are utilizing the free tools. There's no fees. You get cash right away. You don't have to wait for a delivery. You don't have to wait for a check to clear. Typically, you do either Venmo or you do cash in hand. Especially great for heavy items. You don't have to pay that 80, $90 to ship something that's 30 pounds. And fast flip. So you buy something today. I can tell you we bought two vanities Sunday and Monday, and both of them are gone already. So to set up for success, and I'll go over this, I'll show you an example. The one thing that everybody or a lot of people don't know about is make sure you join 20 to 30 local buy-sell groups. I'll show you an example of what that is. You want to post to those groups and Marketplace. I can tell you 80 to 90% of our people that buy from us from Facebook Marketplace were in one of those nearby buy-sell groups of our local towns. You want to make sure you're renewing those listings every 7 to 10 days. And if available, you delist and relist to make sure it gets moved to the top of the charts. Make sure your profile is complete. You want to have a decent picture so a lot of times they will judge you before they meet you. They're going to check your Facebook. They're going to see if you're a real person or if you're scammy type vibes. Um, Make sure you have a completed profile. It's neat, professional. Have everything hidden that you don't want anybody to know about, or have a locked profile, but just make sure that profile picture or it's professional. Definitely avoid any politics, any Republican or Democratic sides. You want to avoid politics inside of your listings and build that seller rating. So the more times that people have marked you, completed sales, 5-star ratings, the more that people are going to trust you. I'll bring that up that trust score. So when I say join 20 to 30 local buy groups, let's do an example. Let's do a listing, create a new listing. Item for sale. Let me grab an example. I'm not gonna list it, but I'm gonna go through the process for you. Just grab some pictures. So we're gonna list the vanity. Price, I'm gonna just list it for $250. Category, a lot of times I just pick furniture. The category is not as important as it is for eBay. Or maybe I can do bath. Let's see if bath is. Home? I love it because my wife has been doing most of the listings, so I haven't done as many. Furniture's fine. That's what I was originally looking for. Condition new. I'll just put anything for there. Description. A lot of times I'll actually go to the, so I'll show you the one that I'm doing. Just go to Home Depot. A lot of times in the description, I think you all can see my screen. I'll go to the product details. I won't grab the whole description, but what I'll grab is these highlights, typically up to the orange. So I'll just grab these highlights right here, copy, go back to Facebook, paste that in the description. Configuration, that will be if I actually pick the right category. More importantly, I want to show you those groups. So color, gray, and you want to fill this out as complete as possible. We'll just do modern. And then images. Let me just grab the images off Facebook. I'll just grab two real quick. Actually built the tool to grab Home Depot's images because it's never easy. Okay, I grabbed the two most recent images. And I'm only doing this because it requires you to do this to hit the next screen. Click next. So Millbury, I do local, public meetup, door pickup. I never do drop off. I know some people will do drop off if they're in more of a remote area. No, that's what I want to see right there. And I hit publish too quick. We'll go back and edit that. List in more places. So that screen that you saw was these places right here. And you're going to notice Shrewsbury MA yard sale, the official Uxbridge community yard sale. These are all surrounding towns of me that are either yard sale, trading and selling, areas. But what you could do if you're not part of any of these groups yet, and I think because I've already listed it, it's harder to become part of them. Why did I go so fast? It's a spot where you can start searching. I mean, it gives me recommendations now of nearby ones because I'm already part of a bunch of them. And it's going off of my list, but I want to show you how you find your first one. Let's just delete it, and I'll run through it real quick. Apologize. New Paste that. Gray. Now, I don't really recommend the boosting. I haven't had any good luck with it. If you had good luck with any boosting of your Facebook listings, I'd definitely love to hear. Um, but most of our listings, we don't do any boosting, any fees. Local. And I won't click as fast this time. So right here, it gives me the option list in the groups. I'm just going to go down. And I'm going to select as many groups as I can before I list that. You want to add any surrounding town. So say if I'm in Millbury, so I'm going to do Millbury buy sale, Millbury yard sale, and then I'll pick all the surrounding towns for me. So Worcester County, I'll pick Worcester, Shrewsbury, I'll pick every surrounding town and any buy sell trade group that I can enter. And if you haven't done this before, at the top you actually get a place where you just do Millbury, and you may see some Millbury buy sell towns. I haven't done it in a while. I need a fresh Facebook Marketplace to see how you add them. But you see how I can list 20? If I publish this and I go back to my phone, I can actually add the last couple that I don't have here. So make sure you're listening to those groups. Like I said, 90% of our sales or 85% of our sales come from those groups. Uh, the other thing I mentioned, let's go back in here. I'm sure I have plenty of examples because my wife has been doing almost all the Facebook listings now. When you go to Facebook Marketplace and you go to selling, you'll see how I have this renew listing, and it's definitely easier on your phone because you can renew all at once. I click renew listing, and that'll actually bring it to the top of the Facebook Marketplace. That way users can now see this again. 323 people have clicked this 3D print that I'm selling, and I'm just going to go down, do this for any that has the option, and then you'll notice some options have a delist and a relist. I may not have any examples but instead of relisting item, there'll be delist this item and relist. And what that does is it'll delete it from your Facebook Marketplace and then re-add it to Facebook Marketplace so it's right at the top of that list. I feel like you know from experience, Seattle girl. But yeah, I've noticed that the boosting on Facebook Marketplace has never helped any of my sales. And we have people, my wife actually sent me a clip to show you guys. Hopefully you can see this. This is the interest we got from the vanities in the last 2 days. There's no shortage of people reaching out to us for our items. If you notice, a lot of them are all today, and that's just because I didn't know it was a hot item. I didn't know people were doing renovations in December, but there's a market for it, and we're making double our money. We spent $100 on a vanity, selling it for $250. I love it. I can tell you, Deal Soldier changed the way that I think of retail and the way that I think of reselling, and has really expanded my knowledge and wealth as well. So Facebook photo tips. What I've really found a great tip is take a real photo. Even if you're going to use stock photos and it's still in a box, take a real photo of that item. I'll show you an example. Let's see if I can find, I think my wife sent me one of her postings and I had it up earlier. Let me just grab that. See if we can see this. So she took a real photo of the box, all packaged up, sealed up the regular way, and we took it from 2 different angles so you can see both labels. And then what I like to follow up with is the actual photos from Home Depot or what the item looks like, the stage item. So I noticed with Facebook Marketplace, the real photo really boosts people clicking that item, and then they're able to go in and see the dimensions in the other photos. One of the other huge things I noticed with Facebook Marketplace to bring more attention to it is a video. Now you're going to ask, how do you take a video of just the box? It's funny, it really works, and it boosted me. You take a video of the box in a 360. So we just walk around the box, take a video, upload that to Facebook Marketplace, and that's really brings you to the top of the listings. For some reason, their algorithm really loves videos, loves real photos. It can recognize it, brings you to the top of the listings across other people selling the similar items. Make sure you have a clean background. That was taken in the garage very shortly. That listing is still getting 20, 30 people inquiring about it. But definitely take multiple angles if you can. That first photo is really everything. So if they can see what the item is in that first photo, they see it's packaged up nice, it's in a nice area, it really makes it count. And then the other thing I noticed, best posting times. So a lot of times people are creatures of habit. Before work, they'll be browsing their phone looking for any items, or they'll be seeing all the pop-ups on Facebook Marketplace. Um, so that's 7 to 9 a.m., great time to post. Lunchtime, you want to post right before lunchtime, so maybe 11:30, 11:45, or that 12 o'clock. That's another great time. And then really that peak time is when people go to bed. They're laying in bed, browsing their phone, doing the endless scroll or the death scroll between that 6 and 10. Best time is to post in these time windows as well as the weekend. Weekends do great, and then every 7 days, just make sure you relist and repost that item. One click button for that. Now, for the messages that you're receiving, I've noticed the quick replies are best. So if somebody says, "Is this available?" You say, "Yes. When would you like to pick it up?" You want to put the ball in their court. You don't want to just say, "Yes, it's available," because then they're like, "Oh, okay." And you'll notice that a lot of people will say, "Is this available?" They hit that one click button and they never get back to you. So you want to put the ball in their court. Yes. When can you pick this up? That has definitely turned a lot more people into messaging us. Will you take less? And if it's something that's up for an option, you say, "What do you have in mind?" Don't give them the price. You want to see where they want to start. You kind of want to get their mentality, if they're a low ball or they suck, or if they're going to give you a reasonable offer. And then any low ball offers, you have it listed for $250. We see this all the time, and somebody lists you $50. Just be direct. You don't want to waste your time. Just say the lowest I can do, and just give them a low number. A lot of times they're not even going to message you back if they're looking for that $50 sale. I don't even know. I don't even know if they ever succeed. I can tell you, low bowling has never really worked for me, unless it's something that's not really moving. And then agreed on price. You just say, "Great. Does this location work?" Just say, "Hey, can you meet me at the Dunkin's in Millbury?" Or can you meet me here? You really want to put the ball in the court and everything. That way, when they message you back, they're answering one of your questions. Sadly, I hate getting lowball offers too, but it's the name of the game, and I still make out. I don't waste a lot of time on them, so it's just I noticed that these quick replies are definitely helped a lot with a lot of the time wasting or the tire kickers inside of Facebook Marketplace. For Facebook safety, meet in public, well-lit locations. A lot of police stations actually have a camera set up for doing trades on online marketplaces. It used to be for Craigslist, and now it's for Facebook Marketplace. They'll have a location where you both park. I meet up a lot of times at CVS, Dunkin's. Sadly, I do have some people that come to my house and pick up. Daytime meetups, I typically only do daytime. If I do nighttime, it's going to be in one of those supermarket areas or very well lit up, very high traffic areas. I always take cash. It's always preferred. If I do any online payments, and this is for my safety as well as your safety, really the only two that I've ever seen was Venmo and Zelly. If they give you a PayPal payment, it could be a fake PayPal, or it could be somebody else's PayPal that's going to get reversed on you. Cash App is another great place for scammers. One of the things to note is if you have it on Facebook Marketplace and they want to, "Hey, what's your Venmo?" or they say, "I'm going to Zelle that to you now," a lot of times that is a scam. They'll actually give you a fake link for you to put your information in so they have access to your account. I always take the Venmo and Zelle in person when I meet them. I will not take any prepayments unless it's like a high demand item that I want to use for a deposit. Never accept checks or gift cards. If it's a gift card, they kind of just wrote down the code. They use it later after they leave your house. And obviously, checks they could bounce, so they could be fake checks. Or, I mean, I don't think we have a lot of people doing this anymore. Cross posting. I do this a lot. There's actually apps out there for you too if you have a lot of inventory. I list in both places, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes I'll even list on Mercari if it's a high demand item. There's a lot of avenues that you can go and sell the items. I actually stopped posting on Mercari when they went through all the changes of putting the fees on buyers and then reversing back, or I was kind of waiting for that noise to settle down, but Mercari is still a great platform to sell on. I love selling on Facebook first for obvious reasons. Heavy bulk items, avoid shipping. Um, Anything that's small items, niche or rare, a lot of times eBay is going to do better just because it's a nationwide buyers. That niche market may not be great in your location, but may be great across the states. If something sells, and I've been guilty for this, and I'm sure a lot of you have too, you forget to remove it. Say if something sells on Facebook Marketplace, you forget to remove it off eBay. Um, I've had it happen to me way too many times that I do this on first nature or second nature. If something sells, remove it from the other location. I can't tell you how many times something sold on Facebook Marketplace, I forget to take it off eBay, and then for some reason the next day, even though it's been on there for a month, it'll sell on eBay. And then I definitely love to check where I'm selling items so I can kind of get a trend and kind of cater where I know something's going to sell. If I'm going to expect that 13% fees or if I can sell it without any fees. So what sells where? I get this question a lot of times. What should you sell on eBay or what should you sell on Facebook Marketplace? eBay is great for the collectibles, the vintage, niche, rare, anything that's small. I buy a lot of the free Amazon items are under $1, and I flip them on eBay for 5, 10 times the profit. It's crazy how many times you can buy off Amazon and resell on eBay and make a huge profit off of it. Any small items, easy to ship, that's going to cost me less than $3 to $5 to ship. Brand name clothing does very well on eBay. Just make sure it's not fake or um, any of that Temu quality stuff. And then electronics does very well on eBay. What sells better on Facebook? Electronics do sell well on Facebook, but really it's the heavier items, the furniture, large appliances. I have a lot of contractors that reach out to me. A lot of contractors that are looking for paint, flooring, vanities, and they're great contacts to have. Anytime I have any flooring, I reach out to the 5 or 10 people. Hey, you guys in the market for this? Especially if it's gray or standard wood. Contractors love the generic stuff because that's what they're doing when they're flipping their houses and selling it. Any exercise equipment. A lot of times, I think recently you saw a lot of exercise equipment go on sale, and the rule of thumb is you get about $1 per pound on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're paying 25 to 50 cents per pound, you're making double your profit. Kids stuff does very well on Facebook Marketplace. I noticed it moves very slow on eBay, as well as the local only items, where if you have anything that's state or team representative, is going to do better locally. So top rated seller, we talked about this a little bit. If you're a top rated seller, you'll actually get instant payouts through eBay, or it's really next day payouts. So somebody buys something on eBay, I put 1 day handling and I ship it tomorrow. I'll actually get paid the day that I'm shipping it. So I don't have to wait for it to hit the buyer. I don't have to, I get the money pretty much next day after they buy it. To become a top rated seller, pretty easy. Have 100 transactions within a 12-month window. Once you start getting started with eBay, it becomes first nature. You won't even have to think about when you're posting, and those sales will start rolling in. Especially if you're at Home Depot and you're selling sprinklers or you're selling hoses that you bought for less than $1 that are flipping for 30 to 50 bucks. But so to be a top-rated seller, like I said, you got to have 100 transactions in 12 months, $1,000 in sales within that window, have less than a 0.5% defect rate, less than a 3% late shipment rate, and then make sure you're uploading that tracking on time. Like I said, I religiously, as soon as I create that label, tracking goes right into eBay. And the one way, if you're new, to check that, you can actually go to my eBay selling performance seller level. And this is where you're going to see your seller level. You'll get to see what your current rating is and what they expect you to be the following month. As you can see, my defect rating is a little low. I'm still in that top rating, but I'm on the line of losing it. I know that was a lot covered. Do we have any questions or anything that you want me to dive into before I show you an example eBay listing as well? I know we've been here for a while. This is actually longer than the basic deal soldier. A lot to cover. All right, while we're waiting for questions or anything, I saw the chat moving. I love it. I love everybody that's supporting us. I love everybody in the future that's going to come watch us live. And thank you for being part of Deal Soldier. You allowed us to meet like this. Because of you, we have grown. We have a full staff that experts in everything. How different is Amazon selling? So the hardest thing, a lot of people have trouble with Amazon is if you're new to Amazon, is the ungating process. It's pretty tedious to kind of find out what is needed for ungating. A lot of times you have to show that you bought it from a particular location. So you can't use like Walmart to ungate. It's you. I think I don't know if you can still use Home Depot, but I know Home Depot you're able to ungate from. But a lot of times they're looking for warehouses that are selling to you to get ungated, and then you have to buy 10 of that item, and you have to have a real invoice to upload before you get ungated, before you can sell that item on Amazon. So to become new in Amazon is a little bit trickier. Um, Once you get used to it, you'll kind of understand the process. You'll know where to check to become ungated. Yeah, I want $2 million in 2 minutes as well. Yeah, invoices is the big key of getting ungated on Amazon. You'll start to get the gist of it. We have an Amazon channel, and a lot of times where you're buying from in that Amazon channel, you're able to get ungated in. But definitely check it out before you buy it. I would hate for you to get, say, 100 pallets of specialty paper, and you're not able to get ungated in that. So quick recap. If you have a item, you want to check its, let's see, I have a Taylor Swift item I'll show you. So grab this ornament, you want to check prices. She listed this on for $25. First thing we're going to do is put the item right in. We can kind of get a history. I like to sort by price plus shipping, lowest first. That way I can see what the lowest person's offering it. It looks like $34. That's $4 in shipping and $30. So they're not making a ton of money. They probably lose out after fees. And then after that, it jumps up to be about $38. Now you want to check sold items. You want to see how well it's moving. So recent sales, $26 plus $6. So that's $31. They probably missed out. They're probably just trying to offload the inventory. But really, it hasn't moved a ton recently. It looks like it moved a bunch when it first released in November, and then it's been slow moving since. December 9th, this was yesterday, we see a $43. That's not bad. So you're able to use this sold item, get a gist of how in demand it is, how many people are buying it, and then say we want to list it, you can hop into one of these sold items. I'm going to grab the person that sold higher. I'll click sell now. I'm going to put my images in here. And I'm walking through this because I want to show you the biggest thing that everybody misses. I don't even know if I have any pictures of this. So we'll just pretend that I put the pictures of the item in here. This is a pre-sale item, but say if I have it in hand. So I want to change that to in hand because that was already shipped to me. That was bought a couple of weeks ago. So I use 79 of the 80 characters. Now brand, let's see, anything I can do, not vintage, not antique. So nothing else in there. Any features, no features. I could probably put this year. Shape, I don't know what you would call that. So I mark this as new condition. I put my description in here. So pricing. Another thing to know is when you're putting the pricing in here, buy it now. Definitely great for those hot demand items that already have a market value. One thing that you could do is you can take offers on the item. So say if it's a niche market and you're not sure what the resale value is, that's probably a great time to use auctioning. And then if you want to set a reserve, you can. But you can do buy it now. And then if it's, say, a hot item that's been moving, you list high and then you set yourself up for offers. That way you can take any reasonable offer. So I'm going to say, I'm going to set this for $50. And I can see the recommended price that eBay's recommending is $43, and 84% of the listings have it for free shipping. Do allow offers. That way, like I said, I'm going to list high, accept any offers. Or not accept any offers, but I'm going to entertain any offers. Because I have the product already, eBay rewards you if you do 1-day handling. What's great about it is 1-day handling is going to be at the top of the list over anybody else that has longer handling times. So it gives you that boost without even paying for anything. So it'll put you at the top of the list with the other people that are offering that 1-day handling time. So if you can and you can offer it, make sure you set yours to 1-day handling. Set your package weight. So this is probably, say, 8 ounces. And I'm going to ship it in a small envelope. So right here, what we're seeing, and this is huge. It has really increased my sales. Set this to general ads. But eBay is going to always suggest extremely high. They're going to suggest an 18.8 ad rate. I'm going to drop that straight down to 2%. I set all of my listings for 2% because the value between 2% and 18%, there's not a ton of extra value in there. But by adding 2%, this means they're going to take 2% of the total sale price as fees. But what this allows is allows your item to show up multiple times in a search. So it may be at the top of the listing, they may scroll down, and it may show again in the middle of the listing, as well as it's going to recommend these items to users over anybody else that doesn't have any ad rates. It just gives you that slight advantage for a couple bucks. 2% is a sweet mark. I recommend everybody at least do 2, maybe 3%, but I wouldn't go any higher. And then list. And that's really the special sauce of eBay. Make sure your title has those hot buzzwords that we talked about. And oh, can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry about that. If I get no input in my ears, my headset ends up turning off on me. But make sure your item title has those hot keywords in hand, brand, name of the product. So make sure that's as optimized as possible. Don't be afraid to use ChatGPT either. If you don't know what to name something or how to market, ChatGPT is an expert in eBay pretty much now. Fill out the description. If you don't know a description, you can copy it off of the listing where you bought it from, and then you can even ask ChatGPT to refine it. Set that buy it now. Maybe entertain offers if there's not a solid market for it yet. Make sure you fill out the package weight, the dimensions properly, and then set that 2%. And this will give you the best advantage over any other seller on eBay. Do we have any last final questions before we close out for the night? I think I hit pretty much all the talking points. I want to thank everybody for spending the time with me. I know it's been a long hour and 10 minutes. There was a lot of information that I filled out. I'll pop the quick handout inside a chat for you. That way, if you want to reference this or reference any of the hot topics that we talked about. What's my favorite food? Tacos. I actually love tacos. Um, Make sure you keep an eye on the Deal Soldier training. If there's anything that you want covered or anything you want to talk about, give us some suggestions. I really want to cater to you guys. I really want to evolve this into what's going to help the community the best. As I mentioned, Sean and Kathleen gave us the opportunity to meet live. They allow us to keep learning. What I've noticed was a lot of people didn't know how to take an item that they bought and sell it. So I just want to make sure you got all those tips and tricks at your hands. As always, keep an eye on the Deal Soldier training. Any new trainings will be listed in here. I believe this masterclass will be listed once a month. If you have any recommendations, adding, removing, or if you want to hear about Amazon or anything, give those recommendations in, as well as the Mastering the Basics, which is really going to go over the group, how to source items, how to find those items. I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Thank you for being part of the Deal Soldier family. I hope you all have a great rest of the night. Thanks, everybody.